welcome to the Nasboys podcast. So today we are going to have a little bit of a bonus episode here, obviously reviewing the throwback paint schemes of the 2023 season. And man, I'm excited to do this video. Obviously, it's a tradition. Every year we
Yeah.
got to review the throwback schemes. There are some really good ones, and there are some of them that I don't even know why they're a thing. But let's get started. This one is a little biased because, as you all know, I am a Joey Logano fan, but it was one of the first ones revealed, if not the first one, and it was just the way we decided to do it. So let's get started. Joey Logano's throwback to the Penske Mark Donahue car. And this one has been done before, I believe, in the Xfinity series. So it's nothing new, but it is new to see with Penske. And I must say, they did a good job. I like the way the number font looks and the sponsor font looks. So I'm going to give this one a 10. I really like it off the bat.
Yeah, I mean, Logano's one last year I thought was pretty solid, but this one's even better. I'm glad they did a throwback to this car. Maybe there's a little bit too much yellow, I think. But I think that
Yeah.
they did a fantastic job with this. I got to give it a 10 as well.
And then next up, we got Christopher Bell throwing it back to the classic Matt Kenseth DeWalt scheme. I believe this is another one that's been done before, but the DeWalt
hmm
cars all kind of look the same. So it's nothing really too much of a throwback. Obviously, y'all are gonna hate my complaint about this, but I really
Uh-oh.
don't like the way that they did the number. I felt first of all that it's too small and it doesn't really work with how the numbers are shifted, which
Huh.
compared to the Logano one, I like the way they shifted the number, but
Yeah.
this one is really obvious that they shifted the number and it kind of ruined the scheme. I'm gonna give it an 8, but it's still cool.
Well, I definitely see your point. There's a number. I mean, it's moved obviously to the right. It's moved upwards, I should say. And I think that it doesn't make it as good of a scheme because of that. I still think it's a solid 9 out of 10. It is a little bit of like a bumblebee, but I like the DeWalt schemes, and DeWalt even commented on Joe Gibbs Racing post of the scheme saying nothing beats a classic, and that is
Yeah.
my exact thoughts. I give it a 9 out of 10.
And then next up, we got Ty Gibbs throwing it back to when Joe Gibbs got inducted in the NFL Hall of Fame for his head coaching efforts with the Washington Commanders or Redskins, whatever
Yeah.
you want to call them. I really like this scheme because I am a Washington fan. And I'm a fan of Joe Gibbs, the football coach, but not a NASCAR owner. I think it looks really cool. I like that Shriners Hospital joined on there because it fits with the scheme as opposed to like Monster or Interstate.
Cool.
This is also a throwback, technically speaking, to Bobby Labonte. I'm gonna give this one, I'm gonna give this one a 10. I really like this scheme.
The sponsor for the car is Shriners Children's Hospital, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
Um, I think that this is a really good car. I'm not a Ty Gibbs or Joe Gibbs Racing fan by any means, but I think this is really good. I gotta give this a 9 out of 10. And one funny comment. NASCAR fan 2014 says solid, but imagine being blocked by Ty Gibbs. Couldn't be me.
Wow. Next up, we got Justin Allgaier's throwback to Brannett. I believe it's the 70th anniversary of the company, and yes, it is the 70th anniversary of the company. It says so right there. This is
Yeah.
a throwback to, it looks like they're like a tank of some sort. I'm not sure. It's like a fertilizer. I don't know exactly what Brannett is. I just know they've
Yeah.
sponsored Allgaier for years. But scheme is okay, I'd say. I think it gets the point across, but I'm just not that big of a fan of it. I give it maybe a 7 out of 10 for the car number.
Yeah, I mean, this is a really good car. I definitely have to give it a 7 as well. And the sponsor, they've been around for a long time, and they seem to be a really good business as well. A lot of people are pretty happy with it, but there is some people that are saying L in the comment section, but I think it's pretty solid. There's someone that says, well, this was the first lane throwback. but that's common with any brand scheme. I have to disagree. I think
Yeesh.
that brand paint schemes are pretty fine. I like their
Yeah.
colors. I don't see it being an L at all.
Yeah, I like Brandt's paint schemes as well. Next up, we got uh, Daniel Suarez's throwback to Ricky Rudd, the classic Quaker State car. I like this one. This one looks pretty good. Another complaint with the number, I didn't think that they did that good of a job shifting it, and it kind of ruins it, but not as bad as the DeWalt car. But I think the scheme looks nice. I'll give it another 8 out of 10.
I think regardless of the number, I think it's a 10 out of 10. This car is beautiful. Trackhouse Racing has the best like paint schemes, like in the Cup Series, in my
Yeah.
opinion. They do a phenomenal job. And to see Quaker State car back on the track, man, just brings a lot of memories. And and I feel like this is definitely a lot of people's top five favorite ones of this upcoming weekend.
Speaking of Trackhouse, we got the Dale Jarrett car. Now Trackhouse and JTG had the same idea, but two different executions. Let's start out with the number one car. So number one car is a throwback to Dale Jarrett, which surprisingly there were a lot of throwbacks to Dale Jarrett. I don't know why, but there were. Um, Ross Chastain's team, I think whoever the designers, Kyle Sykes, that's who it is. I think he hit it out of the park with this one. Um, the only odd thing is that on the original car, it just said UPS, like the abbreviation UPS, and they
Yeah,
have worldwide services, which I'm not saying is like a complaint, but it's a little odd, but it doesn't really mark any points down. I also don't like the way they shifted the number, and I'm gonna keep saying this because it's true. I just don't like the way that they do the numbers for the throwbacks. But
yeah.
I really like the scheme either way. I really like how they kind of threw a modern twist in there with the chrome. So I'm gonna give this one a 9 out of 10.
I'm gonna give this one 10 out of 10. Just continued W's by my boy Wash Chastain and the Trackhouse Racing
Was.
number one the number one Trackhouse Racing team. Continued W in my opinion. 10 out of 10. It's not my favorite scheme. I like the Quaker State one more, but it's just great, man. I love it.
And then for Ricky's, this isn't even a UPS car. I mean, it's designed like a UPS car, yes, and it's better than that one atrocious thing that we did the first season of the podcast. But this one just looks more like it's a scheme for Country Croc than it is for Dale Jarrett. So I'm
Hmm.
gonna have to mark it down like 4 points for that. I'm gonna give it a 6.
I'm gonna give it a 7.5, actually. I like it.
Man, you're nice. Um, Next up, we got Chase Elliott throwing it back to his dad, number 9 Dodge car. I really like this one. I think it says something Happy Mother's Day on the side because it's on Mother's Day weekend,
Yeah.
which I think that's cool. It's the main sponsor is Lumar. I like that they didn't have a blue number for once, and they actually let them design the car correct.
Yeah.
I really like that Hendrick is using the Ray Everham font, which brings up a lot of points. But again, I'm gonna keep harping on this, the number. I just don't like the number with throwback schemes. I don't. I'm sorry. It looks stupid, but I think this one, I'm gonna give this one a 10. I really like the way that they did it.
Every paint scheme, Mike. I don't like the number. I'm just playing.
Yes, it's true. Look at
I think that it's pretty cool to be honest. I like Dodge and I like the all red scheme. It's been a while since we've seen an all red nine. So I'm gonna give this one a 9. No, I'm actually changing my mind. It's a little biased, but I'm giving this a 10 out of 10.
And next up, we got Nick Sanchez throwing it back to Mario Andretti when he raced in NASCAR for a bit.
Yeah.
And wow, I really like this one. This is another one of my favorites. So far, my favorites are the Logano one and the Sanchez one. This is perfect. I mean, it's pretty much the same color blue. I don't know because of the old timey pictures, but the truck looks great. I think they no, they even they put like a name down there, but, on the door like it was back in the day. and it's just simple. I think it's perfect. I like the way that they did the font. 10 out of 10. It would have been even
Yeah.
better if like Corey Haim did it.
That scheme's based off the 1967 Daytona 500 car. One that was won by Mario Andretti. I love this scheme as well. I gotta give it a 10 out of 10 as well.
And then next up, I think this is Timmy Hill. I'm not entirely sure, but the 56 truck. This is a throwback to Ted Musgrave. I think they did a good job with this one. The font looks good. Everything looks really good on this one. I'm gonna give this one another 10. This is good.
Man, I love the Mopar truck. Just brings back a lot of memories. Man, these schemes are just amazing, man. I have to give it a 10 out of 10.
And then next up, we got the Tire Pros throwback to the
Mm,
number 8 Circuit City car. This
love
one's
it.
all right. I mean, they did a good job with the font. My only complaint is like, actually, no, never mind. I don't really have too many complaints about this. I think it looks fine. I'll give it a, I'll give it an 8 for the car number. It doesn't look bad.
I'm gonna give it a 9.
And then next up, we got Jeremy Clements throwing it back to Jeff Bodine when he was in the 5, the Levi Garrett car.
Love it.
This one I believe has been done before, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
So that's not good, but I really like the scheme. I think they did a good job with it. I don't see too many problems with the car, so I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10. I'm only not marking it down because it's been done before, which I probably should have done for the Logano car anyway. But actually, you know what? Since I gave the Logano car a 9, I'll give this one a 10. It looks good.
Yeah, I'm gonna give this one a 10 as well. And it's just a classic Jeff Bodine. And I mean, it's just beautiful.
Yeah. And then next up, we got the 43. I don't know who drives that in the Xfinity, but he is throwing it back to Kevin Harvick. Since obviously it's his last season, the Good Wrench car from I think that was like what, 04, right? 03?
That picture looks like it's from oh 03, oh 04, or oh 05, one of them 3 years.
Yeah. But this one looks really good. I don't care what year it is. It looks really good. Font looks good. Sponsor, everything is great. I'm gonna give this one a 10.
Yeah, this one I'm gonna have to give just because I mean I like the Kevin Harvick cars, don't get me wrong, but I've seen it so much to where it's kind of like I don't know. I'm gonna give it an 8.5.
Then next up, we got Carson Hocevar throwing it back to Dale Jarrett again. Final Dale Jarrett throwback, I believe. This one looks really good. This one, I believe, was the first one released, and it looks really good. It's perfect. Again, my complaint is that why does it say Worldwide Express when the side on the actual car said something completely different? But either way, I like it. I give this one another 10. This is great.
Yeah, I have to give this one a 10 out of 10.
And next up, we got the 25, I believe. Yeah, Brett Moffitt throwing it
Yeah.
back to Tim Richmond. This one has been done too many times, but I don't mind this one. I think they messed up on the font a little, just a tiny bit, but I don't know if that's because the car is older. But I don't know. I feel like they messed up on the font, but it looks good otherwise. I'm gonna give this one maybe 8.5.
This one's a beautiful one in my opinion. I'm gonna give it a 10 out of 10. I love this car.
And then next up, we got Ryan Blaney throwing it back to his dad in his sprint car. This one looks really good. I like it. I wish this was the scheme for Menards. I really like the blue. It meshes well with the neon. So I'm gonna give this one a 9. I like it.
I'll give it a 7.5.
And then next up, we got the 45 car, Jeffrey Earnhardt throwing it back to Dale Earnhardt with the
Well,
Wheaties and Goodwrench car, which I'm
yeah.
surprised this isn't a car that's not thrown back to as much. I like that Jeffrey is throwing it back. Obviously, the family ties, and it looks really good. I like the way that the font is a little off. That's a complaint, but I know that they don't have Richard Childress's permission to use that font, which is okay. But the hood font though with the Wheaties or what's supposed to be Wheaties, I like a lot. I'm gonna give this one a 9.
Yeah, I didn't think that they would do this scheme, and they did. I mean, it's different and it's great. I gotta give this one a 9.5.
And then next up, we got Eric Almirola throwing it back to Dale Jr. when he won at Daytona in 2004.
One,
Listen, we already saw this with Josh
2001.
Berry. Oh, 2001. I beg your pardon. But yes. Um the, we already saw this one. And you know what? I don't like it that much. I'm gonna be honest. I like the Josh Berry one so much better. I feel like they just executed it a lot better. I feel like I feel like the baseball player is a little off. It wasn't throwing really per se. And I don't like the number again. I don't really like it as much as I did the Josh Berry one. I remember the Josh Berry one I gave it 10. But this one I think I gotta give maybe a 7. I just don't like it that much as the Josh
Oh,
Berry one.
I mean, I get your points, but I love this scheme. I'm gonna give it a 9.
And then next up we got what was supposed to be Alex Bowman throwing it back to his spotter with the Haviland car. And I like this one. I think it looks really good. Actually, I like the car, but I do have a complaint with it. The color is off. The Haviland car in the picture looks to be silver, but the car is white, which
Yeah.
it's not a huge deal, but for sake, I don't like it. But I don't mind the scheme, and it also I'm gonna keep going with this. The number, I don't like that. I wish Ally changed the font a little bit, but I like the gold number 48. I'm gonna give this one an 8.
I think it's a beautiful car. It's one of my favorite ones. I'm giving it a 10 out of 10.
And then next up, we got 41. I believe that's
Jim
who's
Pascal, I
driving the.
want to say.
Wait, is it Chastain? I don't know.
That
I
looks
don't know.
like
I'm talking about the driver driving the throwback.
oh, okay. Maybe. I know the driver on the right picture looks like Pascal a little bit.
Well, either way, it's a beautiful throwback. I think it's pretty simple. Throwback, the font looks a little off. Well, not too off. I think they're using a Chrome number, which isn't bad. Oh wait, this is another UPS car. They have world. Or wait, no, it's not a UPS car. I don't know. Um, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this. I think it's an 8. You know what? I think it's an 8.
Yeah, I have to give it an 8 as well. And this next one, I know a lot of people like this one, but I honestly don't. I mean, it's just kind of basic. It's kind of in my opinion. This next one, which I think is Eric McClure throwback. No
Yeah.
disrespect to him. I just don't really like the colors that much. That color mesh. I have to give that one
Yeah.
a 5.
I gotta roast it a little bit. Why are you throwing it back? Out of all the drivers, why are you throwing it back to Eric McClure? Like, with
Uh-oh.
all due respect to him, rest in peace. But why? This scheme is literally so basic. It's not even throwback worthy, in my opinion. But I think they did a decent job with it, but I see what you're saying. I'm not that big of a fan of it. I'm gonna give it maybe a 5.5.
Huh.
And then next
This
up,
next one, this one's pretty cool.
yeah, Sage Karam throwing it back to this number 3 car.
I think that's Richard Childress, I want to say.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it's really cool. I think they did a really good job with it. And this is how it would look in modern day if Richard Childress or whoever was driving that car was driving it with the modern cars. So I'd give it a 10. I like it.
I'll give it a 9.5. But this next one's atrocious, though. I do not like this next one.
Yeah, the 19 Christian Eckes.
Wait,
I like the.
I thought you were the 47 one was next.
No, we already did the 47 one because with the
Oh,
Chastain.
well then, what I mean is that 47 one there, the Country Crock one. I gotta give that one a 4. That one's awful.
It is awful. I said I was a little nicer. I said like 6, but That is that is I don't know why they did that. But
But
going back to
anyway,
it, Christian Eckes, 19, he's throwing it back. I think it's to Herschel McGarry. Yeah, it says that Herschel McGarry. It says it on the door. I could send you a screenshot of it.
yeah,
But
yeah, it's kind of hard to tell, but yeah, I really like this one because it's like a car from the 50s, and there hasn't been many throwbacks of that, so I'm gonna have to give it a 9.6.
I'm gonna have to give it an 8 because I like the scheme. I think they did a good job with the representation, but I don't really like the white box for the number. Like I wish they would have just made the number just black, kind of like how the font is for the sponsor. But I think that they did a pretty solid job with this car or this truck, excuse me. So I'll give it an 8. Next up,
Yeah,
Jake Garcia. He's
that one's a pretty decent one. It's a throwback to Buckshot Jones, if I'm correct.
yeah.
I want to give that one a 9.
I think I'm gonna have to agree with you with a 9. I like it. I think they did a good job with it. And then next up, we got Ty Dillon. He's running a throwback to Martin Truex Jr.'s Ferris car in the 56 from 2001. Never seen that scheme before. Um, it's it's okay. I mean, it looks too much like a Richard Childress car. And I think that the grass patterns are a little off compared to the car. Like this one looks more like the Forever Lawn scheme instead of what they're
Yeah.
trying to go after. So I'm gonna have to give this one a 6.
Uh, I don't really like this one that much. I'm gonna give it a 5.
And then next up, we got Kevin Harvick, Sunny D, throwing it back to what he would have driven if Dale Sr. never died for the ALL car.
They
And
don't really look that similar though. That's the only
that's what
thing
I
I
was
don't
about to
like about
say.
it.
Yeah. It's like it's not a horrible scheme, but from what you're trying to recreate, it looks
Yeah.
really bad. I mean, this is nowhere near what the car is supposed to be. So I'm gonna have to give this one like a 1. I think it's inaccurate,
It's because
like heavily inaccurate.
I think the car looks good, so I have to rate it based off of how the car looks. But obviously the it not being too similar is takes it down a couple notches. So I'm gonna give it a 5.
And then next up, we got my absolute favorite one. This is 100% my favorite in every series. The Herbie car by Matt Mills.
Yeah, I
Oh my
love it.
God. First of all, I have been a fan of Herbie when I watched that movie, Herbie Fully Loaded with Lindsay Lohan and Matt Dillon.
Yeah,
It's kind of a stupid movie, but it's really good if you like racing. And they knocked it out of the park with this one. This is exactly what I feel Herbie would look like if it was actually a stock car.
yeah.
Everything looks good. The sponsor looks good. The number, they put the number on the hood too. I love it. 10 out of 10. Matter of fact, 100 out of 10. I love this car so much. I wish somebody would throw it back to
Uh,
Lightning McQueen now.
yeah, it's definitely one of the best ones. I think it's 11 out of 10. It's just a beautiful car.
And then next up, we got Noah Gragson throwing it back to Jimmy Johnson's patriotic scheme back in 2014 when he won the Coke 600. And this is another one where it's like, why are you throwing it back to this one? It's a little odd, even though it is a cool scheme. Don't get me wrong, not saying that, but it's just like, out of all the cars, it's like that one really. But it's not bad. I like the way that they did the number font, and the scheme looks mostly accurate. Again, I have a complaint with the number, and I feel that the strips aren't as inaccurate as I thought. But I'm gonna have to give this one a 7.5, maybe an 8.
Yeah, I mean, this brings me back to, watching NASCAR as a teenager. Jimmy Johnson schemes. I always loved the Jimmy Johnson Stars and Stripes cars, the red, white, and blue. I love it. I'm giving it a 9 out of 10.
And then next up, we got Raja Karoof throwing it back to Wendell Scott. And even though the scheme is a little simple, I really like this one because it's not just a throwback to Wendell Scott. They're actually promoting his foundation too, which I think
Yeah,
is really cool. So for that reason, I got to give it a 9. It looks really, really good.
there. I didn't see any blue on the original Wendell Scott car in the picture. But I mean, regardless, I think it's a very cool car. I'm gonna give this one a 9.5.
And next up, we got Chase Briscoe. I think I don't know
Oof.
what exactly. He's throwing it back. Is that his car that he's throwing that back to?
Uh, I mean, it looks like it because I mean he's ran in dirt racing and ran some midgets. I think it is his. I think it's a pretty solid one. I'll give it a
Yeah.
8.
Yeah, I'm also going to give it an 8. I think it looks really solid. And then next up, this one is one of my least favorites. Ryan Preece. He's throwing it back to one of his late model cars. And I listen, I get the meaning behind it. I get you're throwing it back to one of your like late model cars. And I gave Joey Logano a 10 for this reason last year because he drove a car that meant a lot to him. He won the race. But I I don't like the way that the team executed this. It just looks like the United Rentals renters car, whatever it is, but without the blue. So I'm gonna have to give this one like a 5. And the 5 is only because of the meaning. I'm just not a fan of this.
I understand that. I have to give it. I'll give it a 7. But dude, this next one's definitely one of my favorites,
Yeah.
and I'm sure yours as well. I mean, the 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 Adam Petty and the history behind that is a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, I really like it. I'm glad that it's on the 45, although I wish it was on like Reddick's car instead of Lawless Allen, because Reddick would actually have more of a chance of competing in his race. But
Huh.
either way, I really like the car. I think they did it really good. I give this one a 9. It's perfect, almost
This
perfect.
next one, dude, this next one's not. This isn't really much of a throwback. I mean, this is too recent in my opinion. I'm going to give this a 4.
Again, like I said with the what did I say that the Eric McClure car? Why are you throwing it back to Red Horse? What is this? What does Red Horse have that's iconic with NASCAR? I mean, I'm sorry. I
Yeah.
know they were a solid team in the trucks, but they're not iconic compared to some of these other throwback schemes. I think they did a good job with the throwback. It looks fine. Besides the Safe
Mm.
Light font being weird, it's just their normal font instead of like the Red Horse font. That would have looked cooler. But I'm gonna have to give it a 5. It's too recent. I don't know why you would throw it back to that, but the it only gets the points mainly because the car looks good or the truck looks good.
Yeah.
But we got Eric Jones throwing it back to boss man Richard Petty. Another Richard Petty throwback. We've seen too many of these, but this one looks all right.
Bro.
I don't really see too much of a complaint. Um, Number again is a complaint, but I think I'll have to give this one like a 7.5 or an 8. I like it. It looks pretty solid.
That is a 10 out of 10. I love that Petty car, and I gotta go with that because I just love the red, white, and blue. You know what I mean? And then this next one's not even much of a throwback either. What is this? I mean, then it's an okay truck, but it's too recent. I got to give that one a 4. Also, it's too recent.
Dean Thompson one?
Yeah.
Yeah, Dean Thompson again. I don't know why they're throwing it back to Red Horse and just became Red Horse for the weekend. I don't know why. I don't know. They actually messed it up a little bit. If you look at the picture, it's not accurate for
Yeah.
one. For two, why throw it back to this truck? No one even remembers that truck race. I've never seen it before. I think give this one a 2. What is that?
I'm
I mean, it
actually
looks
gonna change it
nice.
to. I'm gonna change it to a 3.
It looks nice, don't get me wrong, but it's like, why is this a throwback? And you messed it up too. The gray is messed up a little bit. It's the wrong pattern. There wasn't a stripe with blue and black and white. But the one that I was looking at was this Daniel Dye one. I think they did a pretty good job with this one. I'm gonna give this one a
Yeah.
10 out of 10. I like this truck.
But that's what that's another one that I like the red, vine, blue. The Eric Jones one, was a little bit blue and that black. I was looking at the Daniel Dye one when we were reviewing it. But I think that this one's a 10 out of 10. I would actually lower Jones's to a 9.7, but Daniel Dye's is a 10 out of 10. But this next one though, this one is top five in my opinion. I know a lot
Yeah.
of people don't like purple cars, but it's just a classic. I don't think we've seen this one before. This is a throwback to Jeff Burton. But the driver obviously Harrison Burton, 10 out of 10. 10
I
out of
thought
10.
I thought we saw this one before. I can't remember correctly, but I I think it looks good. I really do. I like the way that the purple or the pink, whatever you want to call it, looks really good. I like that Harrison is throwing it back to his dad. I'm gonna give it a 9. Looks really good.
I
And then
don't
next
know
up
who
we
this
got
next one is, to be honest.
Stuart Friesen. I know that, and I don't know who he's throwing it back to, but the truck looks good, I think. It looks pretty accurate to whatever that car is. So I'm gonna have to give it an 8.
Hmm. I think that it's I mean, I'm gonna give that one a 5. And then the next one is the I don't know who that's supposed to be either, but it's supposed to be throwback to a 31 truck with the numbers 30. That one's a 4 or 3.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to give that maybe a 4 too. But we got another Red Horse truck. Why are you becoming Red Horse for the weekend? Tricon or whoever this is, stop becoming Red Horse. No one
You're
remembers
not that
these trucks.
guy.
The only one people might remember is the freaking Timothy Peters one. No one else remembers the other ones. This one, I'll give it a higher rating than the Dean Thompson one, but it's still trash. I think it's like a 3 or a 4.
Hmm.
Just you know what? I'll do a 4 just to be in the middle. Why not? Because it's actually somewhat accurate to that truck.
It's accurate, but it's still plain. I'm giving that one a 1 out of 10.
Anyways,
One
next
more
one.
left. This is the Josh Williams car. Throwback. It looks like Clint Boyer in the 21. I love this one. I have to give this one a 9.5.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to give this one a 9.5 as well. This is very, very accurate. But with that, that will conclude this week's bonus episode. Thank you guys so much for watching. Comment, like, subscribe. Make sure you guys follow our socials. We will see you guys in the next episode. Peace.
See y'all.